spy is trained to ask aggressive questions until they understand who's in control, till they understand the flow of the information. And there are 4 basic questions that are more powerful than the rest. You narrow it down to the right questions. You don't just aim at the dartboard, you aim for the bullseye. They're called the power questions. The first one is to ask yourself, who's in control of this transfer of information? If Michelle had asked that, who's in control of that phone call? The caller. The caller is in control. They called her. If you haven't seen IP spoofing, which is an app that you can get for any smartphone, I can be anybody on caller ID that I want. I can be your spouse, your bank, your lawyer, your doctor. I can make myself, with a free application, look like anybody. You are not in control because of caller ID. The person who is calling is in control of the call, always. Hogwash, right? Okay, I'm not in control, something's wrong, I need to move on. How do they justify that they're legitimate? How do they prove themselves? Well, Michelle could have justified by saying, okay, Wells Fargo, I'll give you the information you need, but can you tell me, what was the last time I spent money on that debit card? Where was I? How much was it for? And what was the date? If it's the bank, they've got it right there, right? If it's the thief, they start making excuses. All excuses, no matter how good, are hogwash until you've done further research. I'm sorry, our systems are down. I can't get you that information. My manager's off and they have to approve that. Hogwash, hogwash, hogwash. Move on. What are my options? Now, this is the part that's put in because we want you to think about options, but actually, from the brain science side, it's what slows your brain down. It allows the cortisol to drain out, your hippocampus kicks in, which is where reason comes from, and you start to think through it. Hang on, this doesn't feel right. You listen to your gut. You have applied your brain to your gut. You're minding your gut. So what are my options? Michelle could have hung up the phone and dialed back on a published number for the bank. Now she's in control. Exactly. She has taken over the transaction. She could have closed the phone and driven down to her branch. Point is, you never have to be so paranoid about any of this. You never have to solve it so quickly that you do it in a single phone call, that you do it in one interaction. That's what they want you to do. When you rush, you don't think. Slow it down, think through your options. And finally, there's balance. What is my balance? If anybody gives you a suggestion, here's what you need to do, here's how you protect yourself, and you don't integrate it into the balance of your life, how you live, how you work, you're never going to do it. You have to make sure that it fits with your lifestyle, not just that some expert recommended it. Integrate it in and you'll continue to do it in a habitual way. And we'll go through examples of each of these so you see how it works. Now, we've got hogwash, right, which is this primary concept of, hang on, not sure where we're going here. Now we've got control, justify, options, and benefits in the spy world. You have to have an acronym for everything to make it quick and easy. And the acronym for control, justify, options, and balance is CONJOB. CONJOB, control, justify, options, and benefits. This is how you spot a CONJOB. This is how you trust going forward. It's not who you trust, it's how you trust. Hang on, I'm not sure I trust yet. I need to ask a few questions. Am I in control? Can I justify? What are my options? How do I balance this with the remainder of my life? 2 simple words, incredibly powerful concepts. So now, none of it matters in theory if you don't practice it, right? If you don't practice something, you never actually utilize it in your life. So we're going to do some risk scenario training. We're going to go through some high exposure areas of identity theft, some of which you will have heard of. That's not important. The thieves change their methods constantly, so you need to have larger principles that apply to all their different methods. So I'm going to throw out a scenario. I want you to respond with hogwash, and then we'll analyze it together via CONJOB so that you can see how it works. So let's say, for example, you go to a restaurant. You're out with your friends. you're going to pay, and the 17-year-old kid who makes, you know, $7 an hour or whatever, or $5 an hour, or whatever you make, or $50 if they swipe credit cards through a skimmer all night long and hand it out the back door to organized crime or whoever at the end of their shift, comes to your table and says, you know, thanks so much for dining with us. Can I go ahead and take your credit card and close out your account? I mean, your bill. Your reflex as you're going for that wallet is, you got to say it louder, it's going to get harder. Hogwash. Who's in control of the card as it leaves the table? The waiter is. Can you verify or justify how it's used while it's out of the room? No. I mean, it literally, that's what it takes, being out of your sight. What are your options? What can you do other than use that credit card? Cash. It's like the latest form of payment. It's coming back in vogue. You can walk it up to the counter where it never leaves your sight. Now, if those were my options, I'd never do it. Why? I like my credit card. I like the miles. I don't go to ATMs. I don't like carrying cash. I want the convenience. I want the liability coverage, all of it. I'm a credit card convenience user. So what option do I have? Easy. Account alerts. Every bank, every credit union, financial institution, they'll send you an alert when you spend any money on that card. You know it right away. So you walk into Starbucks, you buy a coffee, you get a little alert on your phone or your email. Hey, you just spent $15. Right? If it's fraud, if it's a buck at a gas station, if it's $500 at Best Buy, I didn't make that. Hogwash, hang on, slow down. I got to shut it down. You shut it down before it's a big problem. Very simple technique, and these account alerts work on just about everything financial. It's a great way to minimize any damage, and it's very convenience-oriented because we can get it on text. We can get it on our phones. We can get it on our computers an hour later, not 3 months later when we're finally checking the statement that came in the mail, right? That online banking component for this is totally vital, whether it's online bill pay, whether it's account alerts, or just monitoring your statements online, totally vital to this fight against identity theft. All right, let's do a second scenario. How many of you use laptops or smartphones or iPads or those type devices? Okay, so just about everybody. So let's say we were off-site. We're in Burbank now instead of in Orlando. And you've all traveled there and you're in the hotel and you're coming down to see the identity theft speaker and your computer's there on the hotel desk and it's got some tax information because that's next month and it's got, you know, some logins that you have, maybe a little bit of work information, a customer list, that type of thing. And as you're locking the door, you say to yourself, well, I'm safe because I'm locking it behind this door. Your reflex is hogwash. Who's in control of the room as you leave? Housekeeping. Unfortunately, a highly incented group to find new identities because of undocumented workers. Can you verify how they use the room, how they use the computer while you're gone? Not unless you're going to film it. It takes about 45 seconds to wipe it off to get everything they need on a USB drive if it's set up properly. Whoa, so what are my options? What's an option? Take it with you. Yeah, you can take it with you at a conference. And if you do that, you've removed it from the number 2 place that data is stolen while traveling to number 1 place while data is stolen while traveling. Why? Thieves love these rooms. They love conferences. Why do they love conferences? You're busy, you're getting coffee, you leave for a break, you see people you know, it's kind of anonymous, I can wander around. How many people, other than the one who I told I was doing it, saw me walking around touching your identity before we started? Anybody? 9. I touched 9 pieces of identity. I don't know if I could have stolen all 9 because it's a pretty tight room, but man, you give me a room of 300 or 500, I can walk out of there with as many laptops as I want and nobody ever knows it. I just have to do it 1 at a time. You never take 2 at a time because that sets people off. So that's not a great option unless you keep it with you when you go to the bathroom and when you go for coffee and when you wander around. You can leave it in the room in the safe. That's a pretty good option. Not perfect, but pretty darn good. You can leave it in the safe or leave it in the room, call housekeeping and say, hey, I'm going to be in my room all day long. I don't want anybody in here. I don't want to be disturbed. And I called the manager and told him the same thing. Chances of them coming in the room, and you put the privacy sign on the door, tiny. You have statistically lowered your chances. And that's what this is all about. There's no silver bullet. There's no perfect answer. Whatever advertisement you see as being the one solution, that's not it. They're trying to sell you something. The answer is you layer on these techniques slowly over time. Pretty soon, they move to the person next to you because they're much easier to get than trying to go deeper into the protections you have put up. All right, one other example. Great news for all of you. You go back up to your desks. You go off to your homes, and there's an official letter there. You're going to be wealthy, $12 million, when you ship a package for that nice woman in Nigeria. Did you guys get those too? Email, letter, fax, now social media, text. I got one by text. All this money I'm going to make, your reflex, hogwash. No, there's no such thing as a free lunch, no something for nothing. You're giving your identity. All you're getting is fraud. Now, I apologize. I have to go back one step. I told you the wallet, purse, major source of identity theft. 42% of identity theft happens right there, personally. Not in the professional world, in the personal world. And I did nothing to tell you how to protect it. Let me borrow that one last time.
I don't know now.
You don't know now? The answer was hogwash. I said to go back a step, not regress. I always get the purse a second time, always. It doesn't matter if I'm training at the Department of Defense or a security company or wherever. I always get it a second time. And you say, and that's given that I've just trained you not to give it, right? And you say, well, it's such a different thing because, you know, you're here in this enclosed room, and if you were to walk out, we'd all get up and we'd kick your you-know-what, and here I'm gone, and you're still sitting there. Right? Oh, that's what you think. Do you think she'll ever give it away again? A third time? He's not so sure. You know, this is how the social engineer, the manipulator, wants you to feel. Like, this is the one exception to the rule. Like, I can give it this time. You're going to feel the same way when it's actually being taken from you by somebody who's out to harm you. So you think she'll never give it away again. How about if we go through it together, item by juicy item? I wouldn't do that to you. What's your name? Sam. Sam. A little bit more information. Sam, you're right. I scoped you out long ago. Sam, it is so hard to, in one session, to go through all the things, especially with, holy cow, a purse like this, of the steps that you need to take. So I would like to give you, let me give you that back. I would like to give you a free copy of my book, Privacy Means Profit. Chapter 5, trust me, it will help. Here, do me a favor and hold the book up.
Wait, is this another trick? Yeah.
No, come on. There we go. I gotta focus, Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you for driver's license. You're right. Here, Rosemary and Doug are gonna love this one. Here, take a look at that. Oh, here, hold that for a sec. Yeah, because I gotta get the fingerprint. I'm just toying with you. You've been so good to play along. I want to give you a copy of my DVD. Oh, it is empty. I can't give you that. Do you have a business card or something? I'll send it to you.
I'm not talking.
That was a polite way of saying hogwash, right? Give her a hand now. So the point there is not just the humor. The point is how easy it is, despite the fact that I've just told you over and over, to be socially engineered again, right? It's very different sitting there than it is sitting here or being me. It's very easy to see it out here. It's very hard to do it when you're sitting in that position. She's the one that's going to be embarrassed if she doesn't give it. She's the one that's uncertain, that I'm flattering, that I'm bribing, that I'm rushing, right? And that's how you're going to feel when it's happening to you is, okay, I better give it to him. She paused, right? She had the pause. She was further along. She thought the hogwash. You all thought it because I could hear you say it. I'm not telling you something you don't already know. I'm giving you permission to own it. Right? I'm giving you permission, as I like to say, to own your I. You got to own your I. Whatever that means. It could be the knowledge you have. It could be your identity, your intellectual capital. It could be your job. It could be what you do in your work every day. You've got to own your I. Or somebody's going to take it away from you. I promise. 1 in 10 households every year, it's taken away. 1 in 10. That's year after year after year. You got to own your I.
Partners Federal Credit Union is federally insured by the National Credit Union Administration.